Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We are your guide to personal recovery, whether you're dealing with an addiction, a mental health issue,
doing so
or
good,
you're just trying to figure life out. We have a guest today, Edwyna.
Edwyna's
Piert.
in the house.
Yeah.
Hey.
Jesse's been practicing your last name for the past hour, Edwyna. Edwyna Piert here. Jesse O.
I love it.
Here we go.
So
We're on, right? Here we go. Yeah. We're starting it.
Yeah, we are.
Do you know how to say my last name? Try it. Give it a shot.
That's fucked up.
Otalka?
That was
That's
not
good,
bad.
that's
Not
great.
bad. Otaka.
What
Yeah,
I'm
you
talking
had
about,
it.
she
Yeah.
did it.
She did it. Yeah. She's
Not bad. Yeah.
sorry.
It's actually
not bad. You
100%
were
accurate.
Shit's going down.
We just had a earthquake.
It's okay. We're Edwyna, we're gonna keep going. Yeah, we're gonna keep
going.
going. We're gonna keep going.
You drove here from Long Beach.
Long Beach.
I always appreciate
Long Beach.
Long Beach. No, I always appreciate the
vibes.
Yeah.
drive. I mean, shit. I'm sure.
North
it
side?
was- Wow.
Where?
I don't know. I don't-
Downtown.
Downtown.
I came
Okay.
from downtown.
Okay.
That's a nice part of Long
Yeah,
Beach. Is there a
yeah.
bad part of Long Beach? I guess there's
Well,
a.
downtown, any place. is
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
The good and the bad, right?
That's
But
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I love it. Where I live is cool.
I've been to
East
Long
Village.
Beach once, but it's popping out there, right?
Oh,
It's,
yeah. You got to come.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something going on every weekend.
Oh,
So you
okay.
definitely should bring your family.
Yeah, I should probably leave my family and go to Long Beach. No, I'm kidding.
I can tell. Don't get me caught up.
And
Don't
yeah,
get
go
me
ahead
caught
and
up.
say something.
Does she need a mic closer, or is she good?
Do I need a mic closer?
Yeah, hit it as
little
close as you can.
As close as you can. Just get up on that thing. Get up
Don't
on
be
it.
afraid of the mic.
Get up on
All
it.
right,
Okay.
all right, yeah, just keep me in check with it.
I will. I'll watch the mic like crazy. Edwyna, yeah. How long you been in Long Beach? You weren't born in Long Beach, right? You
No, I'm actually from LA, right across the street from USC. But once I decided to just be on my own, be a big kid, I decided to move to Long Beach because it's still closer to family when family was there.
Yeah.
And, all that stuff. But then I've been back and forth in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah. But Long Beach is home at this point.
Cool.
Yeah. Love it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And we all used to work together at some point.
At some place here in San
here
Clemente.
in San Clemente.
Down
That's
the
right.
street.
That's right. That's where I met Edwyna. And I told you, this is something I still use to this day when I'm talking, particularly with my wife or any. It's usually with my wife. Like, I'll say this. I'm like, it's not that deep. I'll say that so often. So, and she says it too to me now. So
Good
it's like
for
a very
y'all.
common thing.
Good
Like,
for y'all.
I realize when people take it to that next level when they don't need to, it's not that deep.
Right.
This is something I've carried on since the year of 2015. I think when we.
It was.
It was.
Mhm.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So thank you for giving me that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm really happy that you brought that up. It's a very important way to look at things, and you clarified on what you meant by it, because you just couldn't take it out of context. So
because when you hear him say it, it sounds a little different.
yeah. So you just gotta
It's not-
clarify. So,
What?
Yeah, it's mentally. It's not that deep. It's not a big issue, right? That's what you meant, right?
Yeah, it's not
okay,
that
good.
deep.
I'm just clarifying for the viewers because it could mean so many different things.
I guess so. In your world, you sicko. But yeah, we all met here in San Clemente. For me, like, I got stuck in a room with a bunch of therapists. I've actually talked about this before, and like, I just I aspired to be like, not like all of them, but a lot of them, because you guys had just everything that I wanted clinically, and I was like, wow, I want to be much more than like drug and alcohol counselor. Not knocking that, but like, I thought that was like, so you were a big part of like my
It was
life.
intimidating
then,
to be in the room.
It was intimidating. You know what? It wasn't because I think everybody was, for me, I keep saying everybody, but yeah, majority of people were pretty welcoming, and like, they didn't see me as any differently. I mean, I know you were going through your intern hours at that time, right? So like, but to me, it was like, we embraced this, and we also were collectively at this place that was a bit messy, and I think as soon as you like learn, you probably quickly learn like, this place is a clusterfuck. It's like, but like, she's like getting through her hours, getting to get licensed. I'm going like, it was like the very first place I really worked in the field. Not the first place, but yeah, that's how we all met together. So.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying to you yesterday, Manny, though, it was a pivotal time for me, at least, because I really learned a lot clinically. It set my foundation.
Yeah.
It literally set my foundation in terms of how it is that I kind of wanted to be as a therapist and how I didn't want to be. Right.
Could you talk about that just a little bit? Like what did you want to be and what you didn't want to be?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I would imagine for both of you though, we have these ideas of, you're not supposed to share or all the disclosure, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
You're not supposed to, do certain things in terms of your presentation, show facial expressions, et cetera, et cetera. But where we worked, facial expressions, honey, because some of our clients were just like off the hook. So you're like, listen, let's just get real in this room right now, right? And so you learned that was okay versus the culture that we were taught in school to say, no, you have to be black and white versus gray. So I learned that being in a gray area sometimes was okay.
Yeah.
Is appropriate when needed.
And that's a big mission of this podcast. It's like what you're saying just reminds me of that. It's like we're human and we're humanizing sort of who therapists are.
That's
and therapists have reactions. We have we are we are left an impression by people. We react. We're not perfect, right? We're not this blank slate. And it's so cool that you could have a place to teach you, like, okay, I can be human and be a clinician and help someone. Yeah, I don't have to be this perfect.
And to be called out on your own biases and be like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? Yeah, my bad. And apologize to the client when called out.
Yeah. Were you licensed or were you getting your hours?
I was just getting our hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Yeah, I remember, just since we're all talking about my experience, thanks Jesse for asking how mine was.
Of course.
I remember it was kind of intimidating for me as well, because I was a case manager, and it was my very first mental health job out of my bachelor's degree. So I was like, I wanted to be in the mental health field. I knew that I wanted to become a therapist, but I never knew if I had what it took to go through school and complete school, because I always had some insecurity around that. And to walk into a room and have to collaborate and network with clinicians was really intimidating. And I looked up to you guys, all of you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you were in the
you
room,
didn't really
though.
me. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of interesting that everybody in some way was in this sort of learning place.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a learning pod.
Yeah.
It was.
For sure.
Yeah. I know I took a lot from that experience, and that's why often when I look back, I don't think of like it as a bad time. It was a really great time in my life, and I learned like so much. So
yeah, I think it really shaped. I was thinking in terms of when you mentioned the room, it was a lot of respect, even though it was combined with counselors and therapists.
Chris, yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah.
And we were all at different levels.
What you really think about this guy?
I learned a lot from Jesse. Like really, it was a huge kind of. We all contributed, right? For example, because we missed you. That's right, because you were always downstairs. I was trying to think of where you were.
No,
because there was a couple of rooms together upstairs.
Yeah.
That's right. So, for example, someone would literally walk into our room, and they would just come up with some kind of problem that they're having with a client, and we would all collectively talk about it, and they would walk out with whatever decision they were going to make with their case. But it was pretty wild that our room became respected in the sense that if we go into this room, we know we can get some sort of answer.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
It's that you bring that up, and we were sharing a little bit before before we started, but I was kind of saying I'm getting a little burned out, like working in treatment. You guys are both out of that right now, but like that's probably one of the reasons I struggle was like, besides that time that we had there, and then I had another experience with him in another program, I didn't really have that. I don't even currently have that. I don't have that. I can go into a room and I'm like learning from people. I'm not saying I can't. I can look for it, but it's different. It's a lot harder, and people are like they are separated. I'm not as challenged as much, and it's just kind of like. And maybe it was because I was early on in my career, but like I missed that so much. I thrive from that, like going into that and like seeing different perspectives, and that's why a lot of it where I keep looking for this and I keep looking for it, and it's like it's kind of falling short. I guess it's not even an expectation anymore. I kind of accepted like it's not going to be like that. But I'm like, with that being said, I kind of want to find like a different venture still in this field, but yeah. So that was just it was so great just to learn at that time. So.
And you still, like, I think as you we're working on our own ventures, right? Me and you. So I think you still have to create that in some way because it's not out there if you don't look for it. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you?
People
I guess
you talk to, people you can bounce things off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you keep fresh? I guess in this because you don't have that as much. I mean, I don't know if you have like, how do you guys keep it like going?
Yeah.
How do you not stay motivated? I mean, you guys are just talking about like your heavy caseloads, right? But like, who do you go to or consult with, like to keep that going?
Right, which is a really good question. And so I used to a couple of years ago, I had like a little small consultation group that fell through just because of my schedule, right? But what I found now is that I'm a supervisor now.
Okay.
So that's
you're head of the table.
That's been very helpful in
okay.
that. Sure, they come to me, and they expect me to have answers, but I also throw it back on them and say, but what do you think? Let's have this conversation together so that even if I don't know, let's look this stuff up.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. So it kind of feels that same way.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right, although I'm expected to have the answers, but I don't. And so I always, I always say, well, what's this book say? Well, do you have an intervention that has worked before that, right? Yeah. So that's how the community that I've had to kind of lean on as an independent.
Got
right.
it. Yeah, that's going to be really helpful.
That's such a good skill to teach, like someone coming up and trying to get licenses. The art of collaborating, because that's when the juices start flowing, is when you discuss with someone, toss around ideas, versus you getting to a place as a licensed therapist that you have all the answers. It doesn't work that way. No. You kind of have to shoot the shit a little bit and like spit out ideas until something good comes up. And you're like, oh, this is actually, I haven't thought about this. Yeah. And
yeah, I guess we should explain for people that are listening too, like the idea of like, so at some point you get licensed, right? And then like how many years does it take to like supervise other people that are unlicensed?
Oh, nice question. 2.
Yeah.
So you have to be solidly established as a licensed therapist, meaning no issues with the board, et cetera, and then you can become a supervisor. And now what's happened, whereas before, I think it's been a year or maybe 22, so 2 years, where you now have to take hours. You have to do hours, supervisory hours.
Got it.
And then submit it to the BBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas before we weren't required to do that.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I don't know, it's probably the best thing that enriched and made me grow was supervision, having a good supervisor.
Yes, supervisory matters. Absolutely. And I noticed that a lot of programs, a lot of schools now don't necessarily train or teach
really
the way in which, at least when I was in school, because a lot of folks are missing foundations. They're missing how to really assess. They're missing how to even read the book. They're missing a lot of concrete things that kind of helped us to even have basics.
That's been interesting. That's very unfortunate. Then, right? So
I was going to ask you, Edwyna, what led you to get into the field of therapy? Like, was that something that just fell on your lap, or were you?
Why do you do what you do? Well,
why do I still do what I do? You know what? I'm backwards though, because I actually started. I needed a job years ago. I needed a job. My then boyfriend moved up to Davis for school, and I followed. Right,
of course.
And so I needed a job, so I started working in a group home.
Okay. No experience.
Please, none, child. Let me just get a job. And so there, I was like, well, what is a 602 probation? What is this? So I learned those basic things, but I still didn't understand that. But I was lucky enough to come back down to LA, finish my degree, and get another job. So from Davis back down to LA, I was able to still attain jobs working in group homes. Oh. Or working in some sort of residential, because now I'd established these skills, right? Mm-hmm. And so once I got my degree from USC, once I got my degree from there, I'm a Trojan, I was able to then become a social worker in a foster home program.
Okay.
Right? And so from there, I was able to get a county job. And again, it's still backwards. So what brought me to the front of working as a therapist is because when I started working in the county, I was working with families who were being detained. Their kids were being detained and all. And I wanted to know, why are these people coming through the system? What is going on with that?
Yeah.
How do I better understand how these people are getting caught up? And so I had to learn, well, let's start from the front. Let me figure this out to see if I can help from the front end versus them getting caught up now in the back end.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I had to kind of figure out, let me start from the beginning.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. By the way, shout out USC, Caleb Williams,
hey,
Lincoln Riley.
Let's go.
We got a common friend who actually makes sure Lincoln Riley doesn't get messed with. You know, he's his personal bodyguard.
Ooh.
I'll tell you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here we
know
go.
somebody.
That sounds like boop boop.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
Trojan.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what led you to then like be interested in like what therapy is. Okay.
Because there was too many. I was experiencing too many issues with. How do you guys not know how to do ABC? How do you guys still? Why are you still in the system?
Yeah.
After all these years.
Yeah.
Why are you still caught up? Well, they're caught up because they don't have the skills.
Yeah.
We're not taught. Social workers are not taught to give them the skills. We're taught to give them resources.
Yeah.
But if they don't have the skills, and we know how that works.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have the skills to deal with life.
Right.
You're not going anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
Such a crazy first job experience, a group home.
Group home.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about?
I know. What was it about? Like, I want to do this, or were you just like, this is a gig?
It's like,
this
why
is
didn't you go
cool.
to Ralph's and like start bagging? Hey, groceries.
Right.
What's wrong with what do you got against Ralph's?
Telemarketing gigs.
Oh, there you go.
I had. Let's not talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
I applied for a group home because I was just like I qualified and the money's right.
Okay. That was it. The money was right.
The money was right at that time.
Yeah.
The price is right.
Yeah, I wouldn't apply now based on how things are going. But the money was right. And so, I qualified and got it.
Go ahead.
Prior to that, I was wondering, like, growing up, like, did you have any, like, experience with, like therapy? Like, what was your, like, even look at it? Like, was there anything?
Oh, man. No.
Okay. No. Just
it
flat out
wasn't even,
no.
No. And so, again, it was the experiences through my jobs that I began to learn about it.
Yeah.
Because in my family, as I told my clients years ago, in treatment, I didn't learn that we had any kind of issue until getting involved in working with folks, right? I was like, oh, that's what my uncle does. Oh, wait, that's what happened. So I was able to relate through the clients or the kids' experiences.
Yeah.
And then bring it to the forefront and go, oh, yeah, we got problems.
Yeah. It's
this should not be happening during Christmas time.
It flips your world upside down, though,
Yeah.
right? When you start to see, like, oh wait, that's not healthy?
That's not normal.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
We're not supposed to have our lights off like that. What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I learned through the lens of the clients. That's how I learned it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Seriously, to be like start to see these patterns
It was
and things and
absolutely
go,
wild.
oh, I recognize this now or that now. So,
What was it like how did your family receive just the idea of you getting into the mental health field? Were they like happy? Were they anyone like?
Oh, that's really a good question.
Strange about it? Or?
Yeah, I don't think that it really. I don't know if they really know what a therapist does. In a sense of a lot of people don't know, right? But I think that because I hold the title of being a therapist, I think that they think I have all the answers.
Okay.
In that sense, right?
You're a problem
and then I'm not
solver, maybe?
supposed to
Okay.
have problems.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to have the insight to deal with life all of the time.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're failing.
That's a tough gig to have.
It is, yeah.
I'm like, listen, y'all, don't walk on no water. Listen, I can't do all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I didn't really think about it until just now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, same with my family. Like, I'll get calls sometimes like, hey, like, this is going on. What do you think I should do? Or even more awkward, it's like, can you talk to them and just tell them the way it's supposed to be? And I'm like, well, sure, but they're going to shut me out just like they shut you out.
Right.
You know?
What's the difference?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
It's tough for sure. So does family, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about it, does family kind of go to you sometimes? You got to set boundaries with family, or do you kind of like, is that hard? Or
No one goes to me.
play?
Nobody goes.
No, okay.
That's a wrap on that question.
That's a wrap on that one. Yeah, we done.
Yeah.
No, I think initially there were folks who tried to, but at this point, no, they have their own stuff going on, and so do I. So it's not really a connection in terms of let's talk about you right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was school like for you? That process, was it difficult or to get in, to believe that you could? And that question comes because I know for me, like, I have this history of not doing very well in school until the last 2 years of high school. So I never knew that I could be a therapist. I never knew that I could get a master's degree. And so I don't know, did you have any experiences with school that were sort of
I did.
Yeah.
I had trouble in school.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until licensure that I have trouble with exams, with testing. I didn't know that until really taking or trying to take the law and ethics, and then, of course, the big test.
Yeah.
But I struggled in our programs because it's not standardized, but the reading and the writing and all of the stuff composed, sure, I can sit in person and have these exchanges and I can go through all the theories and etc., but I couldn't, for whatever reason at that time, I couldn't do well passing.
Yeah.
So I did pass, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But it was a struggle, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in one particular program, when I was at Long Beach, the final was you either took the one of the two tracks. You either did the comp exam or you did the thesis. Well, I chose a comp exam because I'd already done a thesis, right? I have a degree where I did a thesis before. So it's like, I'm just going to go ahead and do the comp, no problem. But that was a huge challenge because what they do is they teach you throughout the time how to write the case conceptualization, which is a big ass.
Yeah.
It's a bitch, right? Yeah. But for the final, you start with literally a clean slate. It's a blank screen, and they give you a vignette, and you literally write everything that. I
remember that.
That's horrible.
It's crazy.
That's such a setup to fail, because you're literally writing this dissertation from a blank slate for 4 hours?
Yeah, that's crazy.
With maybe I think a 20-minute break in between.
That's brutal.
That's no amount of sleep could help that, right?
Just for so make sure to pick the. Can you point to it?
Oh,
yeah,
my bad.
You might be good. I don't know, but just in case. But.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? I feel like I'm just kind of like I want to just talk to you about being a woman of color. This is such a weird thing. Like, say this.
Let's talk about it because that's what I am.
It's like I was like thinking about. I was like, right now I'm kind of like I don't want to talk about this. Like, this is so weird to talk to you about this because it's just like I don't know because I make it weird is what it is. But it's just like I guess I want to know like your experience. Like I guess culturally like people of color going to therapy. I've worked in programs, treatment programs, addiction treatment programs.
Let's talk about that.
For years, and it's like I almost am like, oh my gosh, there's a black person here. Great.
Yes.
Like they're coming in. It's like and there's a minority, like Hispanics, there's a minority. I work with like predominantly white people all the time. So it's almost like an excitement of like, cool, there's a challenge to me professionally. I could work with somebody. Is it like talk to me about that? Is it like in your experience, reaching out for help, just talk to me about it in general. Did I give you not a good question? I didn't give you a good question.
No. That's a broad topic in the sense of there's so many layers, and we talked about that a little bit. So taking myself out of it as a therapist and just simply saying, as a person of color, are we represented? Not at all.
No.
So either as a client or as a staff member, staff meaning person who drives cars. What do they call them now? The case managers.
Case managers, yeah.
Any representation is so limited. You can literally count us on one hand.
Yeah.
Probably 3 fingers.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've been in so many programs where I literally was the only one.
Yes.
Whether it was a woman, black woman, or right, and
exactly.
It's a horrible experience because just like you felt uncomfortable talking about it. What am I going to say when I see some sort of disparity happening?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And of course, on the other end, admin or whoever, they either choose not to acknowledge it or they're busy hiring their own friends, whatever that happens to be. But the makeup is really, it's highly imbalanced, right? Yeah. So I guess to answer your question in terms of what is that like to maybe treat a person when they come in, that's one of the things.
I guess maybe here's one of the things. Maybe being a minority in the process, and I'm just another white guy they could possibly see. But like, what is there any stigmas in the sense of culturally asking for help? Is it in the sense of maybe the African American community, like? Do they seek out therapy?
Right,
do you see that like often? Do you like your majority of your clients are they white? Are they black? I'm sure you probably work with whoever, but like, do you see somebody go, oh, finally a black woman, I could work with you? Like, do you ever experience that?
Absolutely, all the time. So I'm going to say private practice is very different. Right.
Okay.
So in my community, absolutely now mental health is absolutely discussed and talked about. Is it still a stigma? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But I'm going to say, I don't know the labels, Gen Z, millennials. I don't even know. People who are younger than me. Right.
That next generation.
The next generation.
I feel like there's a lot of people younger than me.
They're coming up. They're coming in and saying, listen, this is what I have going on and I'm here. Help. Yeah. Right. I think folks who are older, they still have some hesitation, but they're coming on board. Private practice, though, absolutely. programs, absolutely different experience.
I think that's probably
for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think for like the Latino culture, I so many cultures within the Latino culture, right? But like with my family, one of the things is just not really understanding how therapy can help. Kind of like you said about your family, like they don't know what a therapist does.
Right.
My family assumes that like, well, now they're more educated because I've been able to like talk to them through it. But you know, if you go to a therapist, there's got to be something really big happening.
Yeah.
And it's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
And so I think asking for help is tough because you like there's the ego that comes into play. Like I need to figure this out. If I can't figure this out, then that must mean that, you know, in some ways that I'm just an incapable person, or, you know, that I don't have my life together. And so that's probably what's led to like my family. We all need therapy, and that's what led us to not seek it out. I didn't go see my first therapist until I was actually in a MFT program.
Yes.
And they made me do it. And they were like, hey, to graduate, you got to see a therapist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wasn't like, I'm not doing it. But I remember like looking back, I'm like, that's so fucking funny, dude. Like I was going to be a therapist and I didn't even think that I should go see a therapist. Like just to, even just to experience what it's like. Right. But going in there, I was like, what could I possibly talk about? Like, so I went in there. I'm like, you know what? I want to work on leadership and just achieving my goals.
Yeah.
Like coming in here, like, oh, I'm perfect, but I could level up a little bit, you know. Yeah. What a crash that was for my ego.
Right.
Like, oh shit!
You start going in there. You're like, where's the box of Kleenex? Where's the Kleenex? I'm ready.
My first experience though, I was sweating bullets. It was in person and. It was a guy, and I was so nervous. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, I can talk to people. I can, like, why am I so nervous right now just to open up about something, to talk about myself? What was you said you started going to therapy
when I was in school.
Yeah. What was your experience like when you first talked to somebody?
You know, I wasn't upset about it, but I also thought, how do I do that? Where do I start? What are referrals? What does this even mean?
Yeah.
Because I did not know. Even working in all those programs I'd worked in before that, I didn't know where to start and what that even meant. Yeah. So probably like you, the first session or maybe second, I was still like, okay, I'm just here because I'm supposed to be. Yeah. By that third, I was like, listen, lady, this is what I'm here talking about today. Yeah. Right?
You're good with it?
Did you have a preference like race or gender at all?
I didn't.
Or didn't
care? No, I'm actually pretty open with that stuff, regardless, doctor or whatever. I'm good.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to a guy therapist. I don't know why. But
really?
Like, you know why? Come on. Oh, it's men for you?
Yeah, my therapist for it needs to be a guy. It doesn't need to be, but I felt
why?
Comfortable.
Oh, you says why do you feel more comfortable with men?
I don't know why. What are you trying to?
Well, no, I know why.
Damn, bro.
I know why I feel. I just said it even before. Like I feel more comfortable. Women have just been around me my entire life. I think initially I just feel more comfortable sharing those emotions. I don't really still know men in some ways. Right. Like, you know, I get a little like.
I do know why. I think it's just because I can feel like I can relate. Like the guy understands what I'm going through.
Okay.
I had one female therapist, and I remember saying something about my wife. I'm not gonna repeat it here, but I remember they started defending my wife a little bit, and I was like, I see your point, but like. You're supposed to be my therapist.
Yeah.
So I think,
even though you're right, she was right about.
She was definitely right.
Right about your wife, right? Yeah, okay.
But you felt like you weren't heard or seen.
I felt like I wasn't heard or seen.
Oh, so men co-sign your bullshit is what you're saying, right?
No. There's a way to help you be seen and call you out on your bullshit. You know.
So. But you know, and I'm gonna reiterate what I said yesterday. The two of you are needed in this field for sure.
Yeah.
Right, because we're lacking male presence.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean
we're lacking male presence.
I'm experiencing some of that right now, where I work like a majority of women, and not only just like culturally, but also gender wise. Like I just feel like I don't know. I just want people to. We need a lot more different resources, I guess.
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways, so
absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you experienced, maybe not so much in private practice, right? Because they come to you, they're like, this is what we want. Like they meet with you, they talk to you, they get a sense of like, this is what I need. I'm sure you've worked in programs though where you've gotten clients. Have you ever experienced anybody like saying, I can't work with you because you're a woman, or even because of race wise? Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, child.
Yeah.
I literally just recently experienced that.
Really?
Where I got a barrage of phone calls from who is now a former client, obviously.
Yeah.
Who was just like, you know what? I've had too many problems with black people.
Damn.
I've had too many problems with black people. I can't work with you.
I got too many problems with black people.
I can't work with you because I have felt harassed before.
After the session,
like 5 sessions in.
Oh man!
And then they were just like, and I don't feel heard by you, you know, because you all these problems with black people. Damn. And I was just like, oh,
this is coming out now. Okay.
Voicemail. It was by voicemail anyway.
Of course, right?
So okay, delete from my little whatever. Wow. Yeah, it was wild.
You probably helped,
but I actually didn't feel bad about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably helped them, like, cause
you know,
you represent something to them, right?
Whatever that means to them. Listen, as long as you can speak up and be honest about whatever your issue is, right, and don't hang out with me if you already know you have all these things going on, right?
Yeah.
So still interesting that the 4 sessions prior though, like of just like,
oh my gosh,
you not maybe even bringing it up. I feel like that would be, but you know, of course that person's going to therapy because they don't really have like the knowledge or the insight anyway, so it's just kind of like, I'm gonna, so
they didn't have the wherewithal.
No,
I'm glad that helped with that insight.
All you black people,
yes,
so many problems,
yes, okay, find that city where you can stay.
So. I think like it's important to be able to find your person, right? Like when you're looking for a therapist, when you're looking for anyone to work with, right? Like you have to feel comfortable and you have to feel safe, I guess, with somebody, right? And I don't know, I think it's I don't subscribe. I think it's bullshit. I think we can all, even me myself, I don't feel comfortable with a woman for that experience, but I can probably push myself and find a good woman therapist that I can work through the shit that I've made up in my mind about why I can't work with a female therapist.
Yeah, but I also think though it happens in different phases of a person's life and what you need at that time. Right. So you may have discovered during that time, absolutely not. But who knows what your life is going to look like even 10 years from now if you decide to go back in.
Very true.
Right. What that person can offer.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
Yeah. I guess I was just thinking as you guys were sharing as well though, like I feel like education wise and training wise, like I don't know, there was always like these misconceptions of like how you're supposed to speak to different cultures, and I'm just kind of like I always found it kind of fascinating, and I don't have enough like interactions with different cultural clients. Like once again, a lot of times it's served up to like white person white person like all the time, so it's like is there any like different aspects, let's say me working with a black client or Hispanic client, would there be something like that I would need to know, or something that would like, besides maybe our own biases, like is there anything that would help me like to be better in that position?
That's a good question. So this
that's a really good question.
I'm gonna answer this. I'm gonna take a detour answering this, because I feel like I'm really curious to know what you think, Edwyna, because I feel like I have a different take on this stuff. So I took a course to become a supervisor, and the person leading the course, she was a black woman, and she was very very good at instructing and very experienced. But and we had like 6 weeks, I think we had to do it. I don't remember, but on one of the weeks it was around diversity, and she was encouraging or talking about the concept of having a discussion about power and race in supervision with the associate that you're seeing. And so one of the examples she gave was to say like, hey, so let's talk about, the fact that, I'm a black woman, and you're let's say in this example you're Caucasian, and you're getting supervision from me. Like, what's that like for you?
What does that bring up?
And I had an issue with that. I was like, I don't feel the need or comfort to tell someone, hey, like, I'm a Latino guy. What is that like for you? I feel like, and I told her this. I think we kind of even got a little like back and forth from it. I was like, I feel like I could sense if there is something disconnecting me from someone that I'm teaching or I'm guiding, and we would talk about it. But I don't want to be the one to randomly bring that up and just make it a thing. And I think she didn't really like that, but accepted it, understood it. But I don't know what. So you asked, like, how do I make sure I work well with a client? And it just brought me to this idea of, like, calling it out. Because I think maybe sometimes it's important to call it out. Hey, like, you know what? I don't know a lot about your culture. And so just, like, let me learn a little bit more about you. But I think it's less about race, and it's just more about everyone's different. Like, you know, even if a Latino male comes into my room, I don't know that guy or what his culture's like. You know, and it's not just go ahead.
Because you cringing.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Like
I love it.
I remember this like statement. Somebody was like, "I don't see color." Right?
Yes.
And I remember the person's response, and it was a person of color's like, "You should see my color," like in the sense of like, maybe you're so uncomfortable that you're like missing a big representation of who I am. So I think it is important to address like their cultural, their nationality, like whatever it is, because like I really want to know the layers and depth of a person. Like there's been times when I've been gun shy to like go there with certain particular races, because like I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna step on somebody's toes. Like why? I'm trying to be, but we're practicing being vulnerable.
Sure.
Like this is where I'm gonna struggle. Like I don't. Maybe you need to like include me on this. So I feel like I don't know. I guess your interaction with that woman particularly, I felt like. I don't know that you didn't want to say like you didn't feel anything like just being a woman of color like talking to you.
No,
like,
I
really?
I had respect for her because she's
she's
teaching this class. Like she knows a shit ton more about supervision than I do.
Yeah,
I'm this newbie trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I saw her as a person of authority because she was teaching the class, right? And that's, to me, like, that's what came up to me. But that's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
well, that's
and
good.
Everyone can have a different experience.
So what brought about I love this whole topic, right? Because it is interesting. Okay, so what brought up the cringy part though? Because you were initially like cringe.
The cringy part was that I felt she was pushing us to have this conversation with our supervisees. With the people we were providing supervision for.
Okay.
She was advocating for like, hey, this needs to happen. This is a conversation that needs to happen. It's important. Kind of like what you're kind of saying right now a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know that it needs to happen. I'm like, I mean, if it becomes an issue, absolutely, let's step into that conversation. But I'm not going in and announcing to all my clients or all the people I interact with, hey, I'm a Latino guy. Like, how does that make you feel? You know, like I just, to me, it's not something that factors into my relationships or the work that I do with people. If it becomes an issue or it factors in some way, let's address it. But but just the whole idea of like bringing it up just as like a standard thing for me just was, I don't know, I just didn't agree with it. What are your thoughts on it? I want to check myself too. Like if there's something I'm not
you're
saying,
fine.
You know,
well,
like,
it's and again, here we go with the layers, right? But when something like that, I've experienced it where one of my folks' biases have come into their treatment of their client, and it's happened a couple of times. So having to question, or even blatantly saying, hey, I noticed that this is going on. What's happening? And so with them being honest and saying, I'm not really comfortable with this. Yeah. So we had a whole thing about it, right? And it happened more than once where their clients actually requested transfer, right? Not because it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with their orientation, how they identified, right? Specifically. But it also brings to mind the thought, since we're talking about race, is that for me, as we were talking about the workplace before, I've had to be in environments where, because I'm the only person of color, I already know how to enter the room because I've lived in the world of, right? I've had to navigate in the world of. So when a client presents as being uncomfortable with me because I may be that first black person that they interact with, then for me, I absolutely don't personalize that, right? And you can, at times, I can clearly see that they're uncomfortable with making certain statements or saying certain words, and so I do have to bring that into the room and say, well, okay, what's going on? What do we need to talk about right now, right? Because we can't move past anything with you not even trusting me because of who I am.
Yeah.
Why are you even here? Right.
Yeah,
to begin with.
It's crazy. So it's bringing a lot to mind. I'm almost wondering, right? Like, because we are different races, is this experience a stronger experience when when you're around someone who's black versus someone who's Latino versus someone who's Asian versus someone who's native, right? Like, and I guess factoring that in is important too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's an interesting observation, and I mean, you got a sense for reading people and reading the room, so absolutely, it's something that it's obviously valid for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so, I don't know.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like something I'll never, I don't want to say never, but yeah, I rarely experience like that, walking to a room and not being like, oh, like I'm the only one in here at this moment right now, where when I have that one client that is of a different culture or background, whatever, like race, and it's just like, I don't know, there's almost, I just want to know more. I just want to have more knowledge on their experience, on like how that could impact.
So with that though, I would say if you were to walk into a room and have a client who is of a different race, right? I'd invite you to have that conversation with them. Why? Because they're more comfortable with you. Yeah. Because of being in that space. Yeah.
And I think that's what I think I've tried, but I've noticed working in an office.
How would you say that? How would you like bring it up?
I don't know. I'm kind of awkward and shit, but like I'll be like, "You're the black guy here." Like I'll just be like that. But like it's like I almost feel like, once again, I'm trying to use humor to be like, I'm comfortable with you. Like I want you to I want to address that with you. Like I remember there was a guy that was he was blind, and I was like saying, and he was losing his eyesight. He was going blind, and I said to him like, you must be pretty pissed off right now because you were, for a good portion of your life, you were able to see the world. You were able to see things. And now this is changing constantly for you. And I was like, you must be really pissed off that that's been taken away from you. And I felt, I didn't feel uncomfortable bringing it to light because I think I did it in the right way. But like, I think these are sometimes like, I want to address this, at least give this person, I gave that person an opportunity to like talk about it. Where I think I noticed, I feel like a lot of people are probably, I can't speak for other people, but like some people, there's a lot of fear in talking about race.
It's crazy. If you would say that to me, like if you were to call me out and you're the Latino guy in this room, I'd be like, the fuck? Like,
yeah, I know. I would.
Why? Why are you even saying that?
Yeah, I could probably get that.
I'd be like, motherfucker, I need help.
Maybe I'm being a little dramatic extreme because I can be, but like my tact would probably be a little bit.
But no. But my issue isn't with your tact. My issue is like, not my issue, but like my point is that I bet you somebody would respond really positively to that. Yeah. I bet you someone would be like, oh, dude, thank you for seeing me. You know what I mean? Thank you for for not making this weird or awkward and seeing me. It's just, I feel like I feel like people might have a different response to it based on experiences. Yeah. I get offended. I'm not going to lie, dude. I never said this before. I get offended. Confession time. I get offended when people recruit me or when I'm more likely to get a job because I'm a Latino male. I do.
It's rude.
I'm like, that's why you want to hire me? I'm like, not because I'm skilled, not because I'm competent, just because I'm Latino. Like that's offensive to me, you know? And so maybe it's just met the quota, so we got you. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, absolutely. For me, I'm like, dude, I'm a really nice tan. Like a lot of benefits to being Latino. I love I love my culture. I love everything about like being brown. But like that doesn't fucking define me, yo. I'm fucking skilled. I got the skills that kills. You know what I mean?
So look at the website and see who's represented.
Yeah. But am I unique in that thinking? Because I kind of feel like I do. So I am sometimes in the way that minorities can think about like race. And I feel like there's a lot of minorities that do want to be seen and do want it to be called out. And even this experience I had with this supervisor lady who was leading the group, I'm like, okay, like that's important to her, right? And I think I even hear you saying, yeah, it's important to me for someone to, and I don't know if you are saying that, but like for someone to be like, yeah, like I'm black and this is a thing and we're gonna have a conversation. How does it feel like to have a black therapist? I don't know. Am I?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I'm okay with it, right? And I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. And really the question is, why are they uncomfortable? And I get that people want to just be seen for who they are versus, you know, their presentation versus their nationality, makeup, or whatever. But there are also a lot of people who want to be seen because of that also.
Yeah.
But that's because they've been underrepresented. That part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because if they weren't,
that's been a big part of their story.
Right? That's been a big part of their story. Because if they weren't underrepresented, it wouldn't make a difference. They'd be, right? Just like everyone else. But I would invite you to have those conversations, not because necessarily for the client, but for the client and for you.
Yeah.
Because it builds for a better relationship. But I would say if something does come up, sure, absolutely address it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I tried to. I think I almost I could tell working with a mostly white population in the sense of like coworkers or other like counselors and therapists. I feel like people are just like, I almost want to stir the pot. Like, let's like have this conversation and like see what you're uncomfortable with, like what you're not willing, not to say work with, but like what are your bias? Like what, you know, I want to, maybe then that goes back to our initial discussion of like walking into a room with different people with different backgrounds and having conversations and learning where I'm not so much anymore. I'm kind of limited on my resources, and I'm like, this is not as challenging as I want.
You're also working with a very like niched population.
Yeah, that's also
you
as well.
see a lot of the same cases, a lot of the same stories in treatment, right?
Oh,
it's
that's
like
a good point.
Some of these like the same thing kind of coming through the door,
Okay.
Because of the environment.
Yeah, I think so. That's what it is too.
And it's like Newport Beach Treatment Center, you know, like
so
it's
I remember I had a client in there, and he's like, "You guys need some diversity up in here," and I was like, "Preach, man!"
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. And I loved it, you know. So I was like, totally. I'm like, heck yeah, and I'm like, the white guy going, "Yeah, get it, man." I'm like,
so
no, he's right, but he's right though. He's like, it's just, I don't know, just a lot of fear, I think sometimes. And
the question is like, what is that fear though?
What is the fear?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't speak for those people. Like, I just feel like there's a fear. Maybe they won't be good at what they do, or I don't know. I think it's important.
There's a fear for who, though? What? Sorry, I lost track there. A fear for who?
I mean, what is the fear on me having conversations with them, or people having conversations about race?
Well, you said there's a fear there.
Fear?
What did you reference? Okay, so what did you reference when you just said that there's a fear there?
I think it's fear that maybe internally, maybe there's this, maybe they have a bias or a racism towards certain things. I think maybe that could be some of it. So they can't have those open conversations of like, what race do you struggle with?
Like when someone's uncomfortable?
Yeah, somebody's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Or even like, let's say somebody's
sure
like
a
homosexual. Like, it's like, I remember having a trans client, and like everybody in the room was just like, don't want to say anything wrong. Don't want to say the wrong pronoun, things like that, where I'm just kind of like
walking on eggshells.
I told that person, I was like, hey, I might fuck it up a little bit, but actually I didn't fuck it up.
I think
and they would appreciate that, right?
That's what I was saying. Like, have that clear cut conversation with somebody of like, I don't know you. I don't know how to work with you.
I think there's a fear of like being offensive, you know, like a fear of
yeah.
offending someone. Like, I think like right now there's a big movement for like, you know, people in the Latino culture, they don't want to be Latinos or Latinas. They want to be known as Latinx.
Latinx,
right?
Really?
So, yeah.
All encompassing.
Yeah, Latinx, all encompassing.
Okay.
I don't mind Latino. One of the things that was like scary, and I feel safe enough to talk to you about this, is like, I wonder if you'd be comfortable with me saying like you're a black therapist, or if you'd like to be, I'm an African American therapist.
Got you.
Everyone's, I feel, prefers different things.
Got you.
And so there is I think there is like a worry. Maybe I just over worry about shit like this, but I don't want to become offensive to anybody.
So much,
you know, like I don't want to.
It's a lot of work.
But then there's got to be some like some permission to be like, hey, sorry, I fucked up. Like now I know. Like this is sort of like what's okay.
Yeah,
you know?
and so to assume that we know all this information, how to approach it, is overwhelming. Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're fucking people, and we just fucking connect, and we can just connect with another individual just on the basis of we know what life is fucking like. Like we have that familiarity that connects us. It's like I don't know. I feel like we all have our similar struggles, similar shit. We cry the same way. We put on our pants with the same 2 feet. I forget what that saying is, right? But yeah.
Are we gonna start singing in a second?
I was thinking about En Vogue. They used to say, "Free your mind, and the rest will follow."
Yeah.
Be colorblind, I think they said. Yeah. So. You love what? I loved En Vogue. Anyways.
You gotta do the ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what is I don't know. The whole video was boss.
Is there anything else that's important?
No, this
I love it.
Yeah. So Edwyna, is there anything that like we always ask if there's anything like you want to plug yourself, like personally? Like
you're in private practice right now, right?
I am in private practice.
You taking clients?
My caseload is full right now, to be honest. I'm always talking with new folks. I am talking with new folks all the time. But yeah, I'm full as of right now.
Any social media plugs that you have that you want to put out there?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I am actually, I spoke to you yesterday about it. I am actually starting to do immigration psychological evaluations for folks who need that support. So you can send them my way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and of course I'll get my podcast rebooted, and I'll let you guys know when that's up and running as well.
And we'll be on that.
I'll let you know when it's up and running as well.
We'll be on that podcast.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys on.
The Edwyna Experience.
That would be cool.
Is that what it's called?
Good name right there. No. Just offering names.
idea.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we'll drop in all your social media stuff, website or anything. Any offerings, anything you're offering that we haven't talked about?
No, I have a website, but it's on Google. They can Google me up.
Yeah.
Earthy Ed Counseling Services.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, I'm earthy.
Yeah, I remember that stuff.
Very cool.
Thank you, Edwyna.
Thank you, Edwyna.
It was a pleasure. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, you.
Thank you.